What is up, people? What is up, people? What is up, people? It is your boy MM2K back again with another episode of Stadia Live Session featuring MM2K. It'd be nice if y'all could see my avatar, at least do that. I mean, y'all can still hear me without it, but just for the visual effects. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm gonna shout you out in a second as soon as I figure this out. What chat do I need to be in? Do I have a... I think it's prognosis. Is it Yep, there we go. What's up, everybody in the chat? Let me shout y'all out, man. First and foremost, my homie Jay Smith is in the house. Shout out to Monkey Boy. You like me now? What is good? MM2K. Shout out to you, my good friend. We got the homie, the postman, Charles Aran in the house. What's up, man? Callers Dynasty, yo. My homie, Mikhail Swinny. Alex Billy said just checked it out on Halo. I'm pretty good. The 5 minutes that I played. We got Project Storm. He said, yo, 1080p for real? We talking Series X and Azure. Don't do that. Hey, Storm, don't do that, man. We got to be diplomatic, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to treat xCloud like the refugee that just crossed the border. We're going to get them some biscuits and some syrup. We're going to get their blood sugar right. You know what I'm saying? Get them the sweet potato, everything that they need for their riboflavin and for the superfoods. I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Follow me now. I know I sound like I'm being a jack but I'm not. Follow me now. I got to kind of plead to the community today. I gotta plead to the community. Now, I've dig what my brother Project Storm is saying because I've said the same things behind the scenes. It's just, you know how Storm is. There ain't no behind the scenes with Storm. Storm is 24/7 transparent. It's like, bow. Like, I'm not hiding that. It is what it is. But I'm gonna try to do something a little different. It might not work, but bear with me, y'all. I'm gonna try to do something a little different. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it don't work, I know Storm will, kick me straight up the middle of my ass. He'll be like, what the hell was you trying to do here? Keep it real. Alex Billy again in the house. Haven't pulled any triggers, though. We'll try it out more today. We got Ron Slusher in the house. Yo. Brian Brown with the Stadia. And the homie, Stadia Rev, PNTS Network in the house. Says we in the building. Project Storm. Hold on. Hey, Storm, man. Let me just try to work this magic. Let me try to do this magical trick. You know what I'm saying? Let me try to be what's homie's name? It's not Billy Blade. Is it Billy Blade, the magical dude? Let me try to be him, man. Let me just try. Storm says F diplomatic. I thought the official rollout would match Stadia and force them to upgrade. I know, bro. I know, but we're gonna try something else because Storm, the reason why you're in this predicament is because despite our differences in what our favorite platforms are, how we like to game, what we think is the best cloud additive or however you want to phrase it, we should all be on the same page about one particular thing. I'm gonna get into that. We should all be on the same. I don't care if you think Stadia is going to die tomorrow. Fine, if you like it, if you like it, I love it. If that's how you think, then whatever. I don't care what your mind state is about any of these cloud platforms. But regardless, we should all be on the same page about one particular thing. And the reason why my brother Storm is suffering through the disappointment that he's suffering through is because we're not on the same page about this one particular thing. And so therefore, I'm not a wag the finger. It's, I might get all loud and spitting in the pop filter, but don't confuse the theatrics. I'm not your maker. I can't determine which road you go down. But I can tell you which is on each end of those roads. I done said it here before, I'll say it again. We pivot off the facts. Why did we pivot off the facts? Because earlier on, when I was told don't touch the stove, I touched the stove and got my hand burned. So now all I'm trying to do is turn around, report back to y'all, hey, yo, don't touch that stove. I know it looks alluring and you want to test it out and think you're going to survive. Don't do it. Trying to tell y'all what's on the end of those roads. And we're not listening. Time after time, when we run into these predicaments, we're confused like, oh, how would we know? You would know because the evidence is there. You cannot bypass evidence like it doesn't matter. Evidence is what keeps you safe. Evidence is what keeps you out of trouble. Don't be afraid of evidence. Evidence is your friend. Evidence and precedent is your friend. Now, everything's not etched in stone today, but I'm going to make a plea with the community. Please, I'm going to get on my knees. Storm is going to be like, you're embarrassing, PNTS, don't do it. But I'm going to do it because I don't know what else to do. But before we get into all that bibble babble, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Rock those bells for notifications, please. So you know when we's dropping these doses, when we go on live, or when I gotta, I'm not copping a plea. No, I ain't copping a plea. But when I gotta make a plea. But before I make my pleas, let me check something out real quick. I've had to learn. Hold on, let me clear that out. Let me clear my brother's righteously disappointed comment. I get it. That's why I left it up there, because I want y'all to see that. Because he's right about that. He's right about that. But we're going to try a different approach. Different strokes for different folks. All right. Let me try something real quick, though. I want to see if I go to the web. Okay, now it's working. All right, so we're going to go back here to live display like where we was at. And then we're going to go to the web. Okay, all right. And also let me know if y'all can hear me well. You know what I'm saying, and all that good stuff. We got my spiritual advisor in the house, Clive Linden. He says when Xbox catches up is what people say. Well, 1080-60 still not caught up. Hey, Clive, I know we want to get on our sandbox today because we've been telling them, don't bite into the fruit. Don't eat the apple. We told them. And they didn't want to listen. It looked juicy. It's nice and shiny. They just rubbed it on their. They're like, I want a taste of the fruit. I'm gonna let my imaginations run wild. I know they was there, Clive, but we're gonna try something different. I'm not being facetious, because I don't think that when we get here, when we get to these paradoxes, where we got to do like what we did last year. When I gotta eat crow, MM2K's not unguilty of this as well. I'm guilty of it. When I gotta eat crow, when I gotta go to my brother 6'4" and say, 6'4", you know what? I was wrong and you was right, and I had to make a video behind it to try to keep what was left of my integrity intact. When a lot of us, I had to eat crow twice. I'm not above that. I'm not above announcing that. I've had to eat it twice. Once with my brother 6'4", and another with the guy that you see right here on the screen, Clive Linden, had a hell of a show earlier today. You know me, when I was trying to be slick with the, Clive, well, you can't do that because of the magical chalupa and all this other stuff. Clive just looking at me with his hand on his head like, bro, I know you're smarter than this. Stop it. Stop whining with the lollipop in your mouth. Clive took it like a champ, and he was right. There are certain things, certain litmuses that we're putting out there right now that just aren't fathomable. You will see improvements at XYZ time based upon XYZ ABC results. Oh no, they got to do this, they got to do that, or it'll be dead in 18 months, da 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 da. And I had to eat crow. So I've been guilty of it. But then there's the time where the community at mass had to eat crow when my brother Project Storm was out here saying, yo, look, Feel like Stadia's going to pick up the pace fourth quarter at the end of the year. They got some things planned. Don't put all your eggs in the basket of Cyberpunk, this and that. Cyberpunk is coming late. Don't put your eggs in the basket. There's just something there that if you look at the tea leaves, more than meets the eye. Oh, no, Storm, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what Bam! Storm knew what he was talking about. But I'm going to try something different. Before we get into all that, though, shout out to my brother Clive Linden, man. Had a hell of a show. This is a PNTS Network show. Check us out. Go to pntsnetwork.com. You'll see an array of videos and content that we got. You can leave Yappa messages. We answer those. You can see some of our latest and greatest content. We're going to go through a serious facelift soon, y'all. I think y'all will like it. You can check out our Patreon if you want to support the content and all this other stuff. But definitely get acclimated to what we're doing right now, because we're going to go through a serious facelift, and I think you guys will enjoy it. You can see some of the latest and greatest videos by my homie Project Storm and all of us that are creating content out there. You got one source to see all of our content. Come to PNTS Network for all that great stuff, okay? In addition to that, oh no, that's the wrong slide. Oh, that's the wrong. In addition to that, we are dropping some groups. Let me see if I can find it. Forums. We are dropping some groups. We're bringing back a clan called the Old Dirty Blasters. You don't know what the Old Dirty Blasters are? I'm about to show you right now. Thank you, Google, for making this pop up. Thank you, Google. I'm glad I ain't got no Google devices right here that's going sit there and talk to me or talk to you. Check that out. Old Dirty Blasters. The purpose of this clan is we're trying to show we're not only trying to give Stadia their roses right now, as they are of the top echelon as far as cloud performance as we speak. And that's not a feat to just be smug about. There's a lot of people that rather do cloud gaming, even though they may have an option, or there are people that have no choice but to do cloud gaming. And a lot, but not all, want to make sure that there's great fidelity behind it. They want to see at least a bit amount of recognition, that they're playing in the cloud. Shout out to my brother Doc Dark, who breaks it down the best. People, they want to feel like that they're playing on native hardware, but they want the non-expenditures of the cloud, the frictionless nature of the cloud. They want the benefits, the sole benefits of being on the cloud platform. And right now, Stadia does a fantastic balance of that. Do they have all the games that everybody wants? Not at this moment. But their reach and their option was towards performance. I think Amazon is reaching towards that same thing. And because they're both reaching towards that, they're focusing on the titles later, which I think is a great thing, but Stadia still has a head start on that. And they've done a great job bringing us a good number of the top games that have been released over the last several months, and bringing it to people in a way to where they ain't got to deal with the frictionless nature of gaming. That's not a small feat. And that's something that a lot of gamers don't realize that they would appreciate until they give it a try. I want to tell y'all something, and this person might be watching right now. Today's show was about to be a different show. Today's show was really about to be a different show. What do I mean by that? I mean that, and Project Storm knows about this because we laughed behind the scenes about it. When we got the update from Xbox that now they were releasing the Xbox Cloud, or whatever you want, xCloud, to everybody, and people were playing it, and the experience and matching it up to, maybe we can call it the A/B testing, when it wasn't on par with what a lot of people were talking about earlier. And we even brought this up on this channel. Storm was there, where we said, hey, a lot of us are making assumptions that what we're going to get at the tail end is what we're seeing with some of these games across the board. It might be different. Remember that? And lo and behold, at least right now, to be fair, at least right now, it's not what we saw last week. It's not what you saw on Project Storm's channel. There's definitely clarity about 120 frames. Ain't no 120 frames. Xbox right now has caught up to the rest of the field, and now they're doing 1080p 60. They've been doing what Stadia has been doing since 2019. Oh, I'm sorry, 2018 with Project Stream. When Stadia launched in what is a true beta, you play it for free. You give us your thoughts. We're routinely testing this. It's not just with a little bubble, multi-choice thing. Like, you really give us like in-depth detail about what your experience is like, because we're heavily reliant on your feedback before we put out our retail version. That's a beta. What you're seeing right now is more like it with all these other platforms opposite of GFN, is you're seeing early access, where they're charging you and everything that they promised you wasn't there yet, but they want to put like a title out there to give themselves a cushion. A true beta, coming from a gamer that's been doing this for 30 plus years, is something that's normally free and that is integral to the development ASAP before we do any type of retail release, before we ask for any money in our hands. That's a true beta. So when when Stadia was Project Stream and it was a beta, they were doing 1080p 60 then. Some may argue that 1080p 60 then is better than what you're seeing now from xCloud. Maybe not. I see people posting stuff up in here that is cool on iOS and all that other stuff, and that's great. That's fantastic. I'm glad they're making inroads, and I'm not trying to diminish that. As a matter of fact, this whole stream is not about diminishing anything. It's about making sure that we understand that we got to be all on the same page about something. But I'm going off the rails. So anyway, I said all that to introduce the Old Dirty Blasters. We're here because Stadia uniquely has a great balance of performance. You know what I'm saying? As well as bringing you a good number of the highly anticipated games. And they're trying to build that library. There's more highly anticipated games, even more. And they have the most options, I feel like. Not necessarily as far as catalog is concerned, but they have the most options on how you can interact with games. You can do the subscription service. You can do the a la carte. Or you can also do the PS Plus Xbox Live Gold thing. So they have all of those. You can do the subscription with Ubisoft Plus, that they said they're open to more. Again, you could do the a la carte purchases. Like, I can buy Resident Evil 8, or I can do Pro, which is an offshoot of PS Plus, Xbox Live Gold, where I pay for certain particular feature sets and I get free games on top of that. Right? Project Storm in the house. He says, let me see if it'll pop up yet. Okay, it says, hold on, let me fix something, y'all. Because for some reason, I don't know why this does this. Why does this do this? Why is it cutting my brother off? Oh, it's cutting him off because it's cutting him off up here. There we go. All right. All right, so let's do this. Let's go back up here. Let's go back to the gameplay. It says Stadia Dosage News. Let me tell you something. PlayStation now took the Azure server. Storm, stop it. Stop it. He said, took the Azure servers and used it to 1080p 60 before Xbox. Come on, man. Let me do something real quick too while I'm in this Discord. Let me hit you with the hee. Let me hit everybody up and let them know that we're live. Come on. Oh, whoops. Let me hit you with the hee. Let me go here. Oh, wow. What's going on here? Okay, let me go here. Let me hit you with the hee. I can tell I'm excited. I'm sitting there making up my own songs. That's not even a song. Don't even try looking that up on Spotify. don't even try it. Okay, that's Stadia link. Okay, good. We got that. Bada boom. And then we're gonna go down here too. We're gonna go here. Oh shoot, my fan fell back. Hold on, I gotta get that fan because it is burning up. I'm sorry. And if y'all hear like a little staticky noise, if it's too much, I'll turn it. Yeah, matter of fact, let me turn the fan down. Hold on, that was probably a sign I need to turn this damn fan down because it's up too high. Hold on, it's just too damn hot, y'all. Gotta hit them with the heat. All right. Okay, y'all. So, I'm all types of unprofessional today. I am in the squeaky chair. My fan is blowing. All that great stuff. All right, hold on. Why is it? Okay, so now we gotta go back here. Let's do this again. Now we gotta fix that because it wanna act up. Wanna act a damn fool. It's always hard to get this adjusted right when you have the longer comments. But I'm gonna hit you with the hee. Don't ask me why I keep saying that. Okay, there we go. Let me do this. Now I think I'm good to turn that off. We're gonna bring that here and oh, come on. The hell? Oh, come on. Bring that down. Yep. All right. So here's the thing, man. Like I said, we're gonna try something different. But what I did want to do, y'all, is I want to say first and foremost, sign up for this clan. I'm gonna leave the web form out here so y'all can sign up for the clan. Old Dirty Blasters. The first game is going to be Division 2. So sign up for Old Dirty Blasters if you're interested. Thank you for the people that have already made entries. As soon as things die down, I'm hoping to go over them towards the latter end of this week. So bear with me. I'm sorry. Running back and forth to the hospital with my wife, taking care of stuff. So bear with me. And because of that, because I'm taking care of my wife, because her recovery time is going to be a long recovery time. Because I'm taking care of my wife, my scheduling is going to be off for a little bit. It might be off this whole week, meaning you guys normally get content from me, like I want to say anywhere between 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You're definitely not going to get content from me around that time. It's going to be sooner than this, but you're going to get content from me probably like around 3 o'clock. So expect SSC podcast to be airing around 3 o'clock, stuff like that, just because we're normally dealing with stuff in the morning. I don't get ready to be able to stream anything until like 2-3 o'clock. But I want to thank you guys so much for your patience. We're gonna bring back channel talk where we reviewed the previous week. We're gonna definitely do another my first look, and then we will have an SSC after party this week. I deeply apologize. Just we ran over last week. What a fantastic show. But I wanted to show that to everybody. All right. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk about this. I'm gonna hit you with the hee. Here it goes, folks. Here goes a tweet that I sent out earlier today. And the tweet reads as follows. There you have it, the facts. Custom X blades. 1080p up to 60 frames per second. Officially open to all Game Pass. My phone was acting crazy. Subs in 22 countries. Still locked to select Game Pass titles, upgrades coming later, and ultimately good stuff. Glad to see enhancements. Another noteworthy option for cloud gamers. Let me give you the good and the bad about this. The good about this is that what we're seeing today, because we got to be fair and we got to be honest, what we're seeing today may just be the server going through serious strain. It may be. And as soon as they do what they got to do with the servers, you might across the board see what you saw, well, closer to what you saw in their A/B testing last week. You're not going to see 120 frames. You're not seeing 4K, so X-nay that. But you might see a better looking 1080p 60 from what you're seeing today. I know there were people that were running into queues. I know there were people that were complaining about latency. I know there were people complaining about fidelity. But it might be associated to the server strain. You might get better fidelity, better performance, all that stuff, a better 60 frames per second stream once they adjust the servers the way they need to. Okay? So we got to be fair there. Here's the cons, though. The cons are that Xbox is a subsidiary of Microsoft. Microsoft is known to have, along with Amazon and Google, some of the best engineers in the world. I think the term is master engineers. They've been known to do some marvels. Now, a lot of these engineers are on the Microsoft side and they assist Xbox, like they assisted Xbox in the development of the Xbox One X. I'm not quite sure how involved they were in the development of the Series X, but I know the master engineers were involved with the One X stuff. So you had Microsoft people collaborating with the Xbox people, and that's how they came up with the Xbox One X, right? And Xbox, according to, if you believe what Brad Sams said, and we aired this on this channel, or maybe on the MM2K videos channel, I played a clip of that a while ago. If you believe what Brad Sams said, which I do believe Brad Sams is of the Paul Thurrott think tank. Those guys are experts all things Microsoft, and Brad Sams is particularly expert all things Xbox. So if you're looking for trusted sources, now you may not agree with their gaming philosophy or their gaming opinions, like how I don't agree with Jason Schreier's gaming opinion, but you gotta respect their craft. And Brad Sams is of the best. So Brad Sams, according to him, there was not supposed to be an Xbox Series S. They played around with that thought. Developers said, you know what? We don't like developing like this, like that old scale up and scale down thing that they tried to sell us before. Developers had already addressed that. They said, nope. If you do that, all we're going to do is we're going to develop to the lowest common denominator, which is the Xbox One S. And yeah, we're going to scale up, but the scale up is not going to be, it's going to hold back a lot of stuff that we could be doing if we just develop for this Xbox Series X. The Series S is going to hold back what we're doing. So Microsoft in response said, all right, we ain't going to deal with that. Hence why, after toying around, or there was rumors about multiple Xboxes, Mike Ybarra talked about that. I remember being at work one time in the lunchroom listening to a I think it was RDX, and Mike Ybarra, he was talking about the different options, looking at different consoles. I believe it was, if my memory is serving me right. I could be wrong about that. But there was talks about multiple consoles. Then there was a subsequent E3, and those talks stopped. And you heard Phil Spencer say, you know what, we're only talking about one console. we're only talking about one console. The reason why Phil said that is because after those developers came back and chimed to him, according to Brad and according to other sources as well, that Phil's state of mind was, okay, we're not going to do a Series S. Our cheaper entry into Xbox is going to be xCloud. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. All right, y'all. So, Brad Sams, according to Brad Sams, xCloud was going to be the cheaper entry into Xbox. But then comes Google. And Google knocked the socks off of Xbox. And they said, whoa! Xbox was like, wow! They're doing that with cloud gaming? That far surpasses what we're capable of and what we're doing. And that's why you saw the things like, remember before Google did their GDC? Phil Spencer sent a letter to the whole Xbox team pretty much saying, game on. Like, you know, our company is trying to reach the billion gamers, and wow, you know, we got a challenge ahead of us, but I think we can meet the challenge. Then there was the Fortune magazine interview, the one that didn't turn out really good at all for Phil Spencer, when the guy asked Phil Spencer, look, man, y'all were doing the biggest talk about cloud gaming, but y'all at last place with this whole thing, or y'all like well behind the curve. Why don't you just put a damn beta sticker on here and release it? And Phil Spencer, even then, and I think that was like towards the latter end. Was that the latter end of 2020? No. It was like towards the it wasn't too far off. Where Phil Spencer said, "Would you ship that?" and not made head waves. And to Phil Spencer saying that ultimately, for the long term, we know short term PlayStation is his competitor, but for long term, it's Google and Amazon. You had all those actions happening, but but they were doing such huge talk about cloud gaming before Stadia even hit the scene. Such huge talk. It even inspired your boy. Like, I was falling out of love with Xbox when Xbox started talking about cloud gaming and how they don't have to sell you a console, and their big press release on this. Go check out my channel. I was starting to fall out of love with them, but this momentarily reinvigorated me with them because it was around the time that the first division was out for a little bit of time, and I wanted to play it on the go. And there really wasn't a cloud platform that I knew of that could let you do that. So what I did is I was messing with I did this crazy setup from home where I did a remote desktop from my, I did a game link that you could do. You used to be able to game link as long as you were within the same network. You could link your gameplay from your Xbox to your PC. And I used to do remote desktop from my phone to my PC or laptop. Very dangerous, very laggy, but I could technically say in a tinkering type of way, oh look, I'm playing Division on my phone on the bus ride from home to work, from work. So, when Microsoft came out and said, no, we're going to create something to where you just basically boot up the game and it's going to do all that for you and you're going to have a great experience, that reinvigorated me with Xbox momentarily until I started seeing trends. Started seeing trends from Xbox where there was a lot of big talk and a lot of small walk. And so what I don't want to do is I don't want to denigrate the fact that now Xbox is up here with the rest of us. But we got to keep it jiggy. We got to keep it real. This just simply means that Xbox is finally up here, up on the cliff with the rest of us. And I get it, a lot of people like Game Pass. But here's the problem, y'all. Here's why Project Storm is so mad. Because this is Xbox. This is Microsoft. And with all this big talk, it never launches the way they say it's going to launch. It doesn't as of late. And see, I feel the way that I feel about Xbox. That's me. I know I don't speak for all of y'all. Most of y'all don't mind or y'all love Xbox. But for many people that don't go to sleep at night dreaming about hugging Phil's limbo shirt, that actually want results, this is frustrating. That all y'all talk about Google. Google's new in the game. Amazon's new in the game. They gonna stumble. GFN is a little bit newer, even though they were in beta for 5 years. They gonna stumble. Shadow went into bankruptcy. Okay, they're new. They gonna stumble. Xbox has been doing this for decades and decades. And they can never deliver out of the box the results that they claim. This is frustrating for people. We can't sit here and say, look, everybody pay attention to the frustrations of the Stadia people, but we want to bypass the frustrations that people may have with Xbox or anywhere else. If you have frustrations with Stadia, I'm all for it. Let's talk about it. I'm just one that's like, hold on, with the doom and gloom talk. Like, just because you're frustrated doesn't mean that it's doom and gloom. Even though there's frustration with Xbox, this don't mean doom and gloom for Xbox or xCloud. As I've always said, and there's one thing you can say about me on this platform. Despite all the monikers that you hear, and I'm sorry that I got to do this, y'all. I'm normally humble about this stuff. I don't sit there and try to pat myself on the back. But I got to do this because people like to build monikers for when they're not right. For all the monikers that are out here, I've never said that any of these platforms were in danger of existing. The closest that I've come to that was Shadow PC. I said Shadow right now might be pricing themselves out of the cloud gaming market. But if you're looking for a PC in the sky that can do gaming as well, okay, I can see people paying $30 a month for that. But I've always said Xbox is going to be fine. Amazon is going to be fine. GFN is going to be fine. Their current business models are being questioned and may not be sustainable. But it's early. They'll figure it out and they're going to be fine. And Stadia is going to be fine. But don't look over here and say, hey, look, guys, you guys aren't focusing on the frustrations of Stadia when y'all want to bypass this angst and this agitation that people have with Xbox. They did all this A/B testing. People thought they was going to get games at 120 frames per second. Xbox keeps talking big, but walking small. They are finally, let's take Stadia out of the equation. I know this is Stadia live session, but let's take them out of the equation for the rest of this segment. Close your eyes. Stadia doesn't exist for the rest of this segment. What we got from xCloud today, and again, to be fair, this may not be the way that it is a few days from now. It's possible. But what we got from xCloud today, after all their big talk, definitely isn't better than GFN. I'm sorry. As much as I don't like GFN's pixelation, as much as I don't like some other issues because I'm spoiled by Stadia, what I saw from xCloud today, and I've tested it out, I have xCloud now, didn't look better than GFN. It's not better than Amazon. It's definitely not better than Shadow. And I'm going off of common perception, and to shine light on my homie's joke, but it got some realism to it. It's not better than PlayStation Now. And to my homie's joke, PlayStation Now use the Azure servers to get the 1080-60 sooner, and quite possibly better than xCloud. This is the company that made cloud gaming, that put the references to cloud gaming on the map with all their talk. And this is where they land? It's frustrating for people. It's frustrating. So, again, for the rest of the segment, let's act like Stadia isn't here until I get to the very end. But it seems like, and I'm not even going to address the Stadia media bias, let's not talk about them. But everybody else on this plane, GFN, Amazon, Shadow, PS Now, they've had to earn their spot. They've had to earn their spot. And they've all been criticized. But for some reason, when it comes to Xbox, there is this mystique brought about it, like it performs the best. But what people are actually talking about is their aspirations for the platform. You can't go by that. Xbox doesn't have a good enough track record for you to go off of aspirations. You gotta put their feet to the fire. So, again, I'm not talking about Stadia. If we're gonna sit there and get on Amazon Luna for what it's missing and put their feet through the fire, good. That makes them better. If we're going to talk about GFN and where they may be lacking and put their feet through the fire, good. That makes them better. GFN even came out and said, look, we're going to drop these Ampere servers. We're putting a lot of money towards making the servers even better. Good. If we're going to sit here and talk about PS Now, it being at 720p, a choppy 720p, a 720p 5, we going to get them hell? Good. Look what happened. They came out there and leapfrogged, and really a lot of people were saying that their performance was right behind Stadia. Well, not right behind, but was very close to Stadia's now on the 1080p front. If we're going to sit there and give Shadow hell, good. Shadow got to find the right price, the sweet spot. They got to work with their new investors to do that stuff, and that'll make them better. But the only group that I see constantly skating to the top of the list, here and there, because of aspirations that don't get nothing put to them on a consistent basis, except from some of those in the community. But when we dropping ratings and all that other stuff, when we hear from the media, they get nothing like the other platforms get. It's Xbox. And that's why I'm hard on Xbox. It ain't got nothing to do with Stadia. I was hard on Xbox before I even knew Stadia's performance. I have a tweet out, as a matter of fact. Let me see if I can find it. See if I can find this tweet. Tweet-a-lead-a-lead. Tweet-a-lead-a-lead. I'm going to find it. Because we got to do this stuff live on air. Because there's monikers and stuff that is being made up. Here we go. Copy link. Let's do this live on air. Let's take the biggest knife out of the drawer and cut the BS out. Here goes the tweet right here. Tweet-a-lead-a-lead. Lead-a-lead-a-lead. The date on this is November 15th, 2019. I didn't get access to Stadia until I think the 23rd. I still didn't have Stadia in my hands. I said, after testing these cloud remote services, and I've been doing this for a year. I was dropping a series on MM2K Videos channel. It's before Stadia Dosage. After testing these cloud remote services, here's a high-level ranking by performance. NDA Platform 1, which was GFN at the time. I didn't know that I could talk about GFN because at this time it was still in beta. And from what I understood, it was under NDA. I was talking about GFN. GFN was number 1. So for those of y'all that just think that I just hate on GFN just to hate on it, no. I'm going by my actual experience with the platform. NDA platform number 2 was Shadow. My good friend, shout out to my good friend, Shadow King. Ain't that something? Great, he's a great anime drawer and was on the, we used to do a podcast together on Saturdays. An anime podcast on Saturdays. Dope stuff. But he's the one that put me and my homie Nethals down with Shadow. And to me, GFN was better than Shadow because Shadow's UI at the time was a lot more difficult for me to use than GFN, even though Shadow had a better stream. But GFN was a little bit more versatile in beta, at least, from my experience. Then, number 3, look at that, y'all. Google Stadia. Oh my, MM2K. He put I put Google Stadia there and I put an asterisk there. What was the asterisk for? Beta product rated. So I was rating GFN's beta, Shadow's beta, Stadia's beta, which was Project Stream. Then I wasn't rating PlayStation. Now this is PlayStation 4 remote play. The remote play for PlayStation 4 at the time that I did this was fantastic. Now, a lot of people may argue and say, MM2K, that's not fair. And I get that. Yeah, it may not be fair because PlayStation 4 remote play was in-network, where you don't have a lot of strain on the streaming quality because it's in-network. It's a lot easier to do it in-network than it is to do it out-of-network. Project xCloud, and I was looking at Project xCloud and the console streaming part of it when I ranked this. The experience altogether, even if I would have taken xCloud out and just did the console stream, PlayStation 4 remote play, when it came to Android, for me performed leagues better than the console stream, which I lumped it in with Project xCloud. Maybe that wasn't fair. So we can take PlayStation 4 remote out of here. Project xCloud is still at the bottom with Steam Link. At the time, Steam Link was just horrible. And I think Steam know that Steam Link was horrible. Steam Link used to be great in network, but it got horrible when they tried to do out of network. Okay? So this isn't about me shilling for Stadia. I played the platform when I got it in my hands, and it was actually a great experience. But here's the problem. I see a lot of this. Us like taking out our monocles and chipping away at stuff and doing testing, doing all this other stuff when it comes to these other platforms. And when I say we, I mean the collective gaming community. But for some reason, we give xCloud a pass on its poor performance and its failure to land like how the rest of these landed. We give them a pass. This is a Microsoft, really, of the richest out of all these companies. Microsoft got more money than all these companies, head to head. And they were doing the biggest talk on cloud gaming. And you're close to the bottom? And we want to sit there and rate xCloud on aspirations? To me, that's not acceptable. To Storm, that's not acceptable. To many people, that's not acceptable. And we got to stop accepting this. Here's where I get into the part to where I say we all got to be on the same plane. Regardless of what your list is, whether it's MM2K of 2019, MM2K of 2021, my homie Justin Y, he says laugh my ass off, this xCloud raw dog and this guy. But I'm saying, look, regardless of who you are and what your ranking is, xCloud has to be put through the fire for what they're delivering now, like everybody else. They have to be put through the fire for what they're delivering now, like everybody else. Not saying that you don't make some considerations to some of the things that they're offering, but you gotta account for their track record, which Microsoft doesn't have the best track record when it comes to this stuff. And offerings are just vaporware until they're released. Like I'm gonna bring Stadia back in here. Even though we've heard references to Gen 2.0, even though I had a developer that's working on porting stuff to Stadia who was on this channel who said, yeah, we seen the 8K 120 blades at work. Yeah, they're there. It's just a matter of when Stadia releases them. Until it's released, at the end of the day, all this stuff is vaporware. All of it is vaporware. That's why Project Storm is mad. Project Storm is mad because we don't know when this Gen 2.0 is going to release. Maybe Stadia might change their mind and might not release it. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying I got evidence to this or any of this. And as a consumer, Storm wants to see it. So a lot of this implementation you don't see unless you put the feet to the fire. And it seems like that more often than not, I'm not going to say never, but more often than not, we're putting GFN's feet to the fire. We're putting Amazon's feet to the fire. We're putting Shadow's feet to the fire. We're putting PlayStation, PS Cloud, or whatever the hell, PS Now, feet to the fire. Way more than we're putting xCloud's feet to the fire. And they are performing the worst with the loudest talk. That is creating a black eye for cloud gaming. Shout out to my homie Akash Monger, who said it perfectly out there on Twitter. Now I'm paraphrasing. I said he said it perfectly, but I'm going to butcher what he said. He was upset to see Rainway having to get involved for the PC portion of this. He said it's just going to, when it comes to Xbox, it seems like it's just going to be having a bunch of games that you technically say are playable on the cloud. There's no definitive tangibles in your hand about quality. None of that stuff. Just promises. Just vaporware. All this stuff is vaporware until we get it in our hands. A lot of what we judge these platforms on are what they are offering us now, what they're making us pay for now. We don't get to say, well, you know what? Several months ago, when you promised us XYZ, I paid you a lot of money, bought a lot of games. So why don't you, when you release XYZ settings, why don't you just give it to me for free for 3 months? They gonna say, hell no. You pay for what you got then, you gonna pay for what you get now. Stop settling on dreams and aspirations when it comes to Xbox. They're one of the worst, they're one of the most dangerous companies to do that with. Put their feet to the fire like everyone else. Now, I'm willing to be fair. I'm willing to be fair. I will say it again, so that nobody say, well, MM2K was saying that Xbox is going to be horrible forever. No. To be fair, we could be seeing strain on the server. We could be seeing issue with the server. And 3 or 4 days from now, they could come through, adjust some things, and fix it. But see, if this happens anywhere else, it's not going to be quiet. Y'all got to get out there and say something. And it shouldn't just be the regular people that normally beat on Xbox like I normally do. I'm tired of beating on them. I done told y'all that when they go to launch stuff, it's going to be all over the place. I'm done. I'm tired of telling y'all, don't go in the beer cave. I'm done. I can show you better than I can tell you. Whether you believe in those aspirations or not, that's fine, but don't rest on those. Put their feet to the fire. This launch, just like how y'all thought, I'm going to bring Stadia back in here. Just like how y'all thought the Stadia launch was unacceptable, this is unacceptable. I'm not getting my codes, this, that, and the other. This is a problem. That's a problem. How come I didn't get my unit on time? Whatever the case may be. Put their feet to the fire. This is unacceptable. Y'all know how many people are on Game Pass. Y'all got the numbers. The only way to access this is if you access Game Pass. Y'all kept talking about Xbox Series X server blades. Series X server blades that are right now at launch capped off at 1080p 60. When are we getting 4K? Where's the roadmap? Are y'all going to ask them for roadmaps? Stop letting them slide off the name Xbox and all this media fanfare. Game Pass is a completely separate thing from their efforts with xCloud. Regardless of what you feel for Game Pass, that's Game Pass. If you want the cloud technology, Game Pass is about deals. Xbox is great at making deals. When they want to do them, they're great at making deals. That's why it puzzled the hell out of me that they couldn't produce more games last generation than they did. They're great at making deals. They bought Minecraft, they bought the Havoc engine, they bought a whole bunch of stuff. They're great at making deals. It's the technology part of it where they're falling short. Hold their feet to the fire when it comes to the technology part. This is not acceptable. So if the launch is crappy, let them know. Raise your voice. It doesn't mean that, because you're behind Xbox, that Xbox is going to die. Xbox ain't going nowhere. Despite all this, despite them, quote unquote, being in last place, Xbox made $15 billion last year. They ain't going nowhere. They're not going anywhere. But stop giving them a pass, because cloud gaming deserves better than this. Stop making it seem like that they're at the top when they're at the bottom. Their performance has to be better than this. And don't just sit there and say, it's going to get better after it clears out. No, let them know this ain't good. What people are seeing. Now, we see a lot of people bringing it up, but a lot of people that are bringing it up are the people that normally jump on Xbox anyway. So they're falling. A lot of that's going to fall on deaf ears. People like myself. But we need the people that support Xbox to say, look, if you're going to talk all this, we're the future of gaming, show us. You got to do better than this. The pressure's on. We get that you're working to improve it, but we got to see results. Don't just sit there and assume, it's going to be better. It might be, but that's a might. The more you add pressure to this stuff, the more likely it'll become a reality. And that's one thing that we got to be on the same page about. All of these platforms' feet must be held to the fire. Stop giving Xbox a pass. They can't even play catch up right. Everybody else, Stadia been doing 1080p 60 in 2018. I'm gonna say this real quick and I'm gonna move on to the other news. Shout out to Jay Smith. Jay, I don't know what's wrong with YouTube today, but you earned your wings today, brother. You earned your wings today. We got Convertible Boy in the house. I think he's new to the platform. We don't want him to go away. He says, and we are all tired of paying for games, so that's how I know Xbox is going to win. They already have. Convertible Boy. I'm not going to do that because, again, Xbox is not going anywhere. But they ain't won yet. They ain't won. With the Xbox Series S, with the Xbox Series X, with the fact that they got Game Pass and now they're starting to get AAA and highly anticipated AAA games day and date, Outriders, MLB, day and date. Xbox made $15 billion, which is a lot of money. They're fine. But PlayStation made $25 billion. They made $25 billion. And I was just off of Miles Morales. Really, Miles Morales, Godfall, and Destruction All Stars. No. Demon Souls remake too. When God of War, Gran Turismo, and what's the name drop? Come on, bro. I get it. I get that Starfield and Halo are huge. Don't get me wrong. But PlayStation, who is known to churn out the top of line games, they said they got 23 PlayStation games in production right now. We haven't even seen them yet. We haven't even seen them. We haven't even heard about them yet. We know how PlayStation do. And despite all that, again, all that Microsoft offered gamers to try to hurry up and get them into gaming sooner rather than later, they got beat by $10 billion. PlayStation broke records on their ass. They broke record like somebody took the 8-track of Temptations and broke it over their head. They broke records on their ass. And that's having to pay full price. That's having to pay $70 for a game. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop until PlayStation has a long series of flops. If PlayStation has a long series of flops, then yes, you might see the tides turn. But no, they didn't already win anything. I used to think like you, convertible boy. I used to think like you. Because I used to be an Xbox fan. The thoughts and the aspirations that I had for Xbox, I felt like, how can everybody else have these thoughts and aspirations? And then I had to be molded and taught that you gotta understand the demographics of gaming. We might be outliers to that demographic. The average gamer buys 2 games a year. The average gamer per platform might have anywhere between 7 to 9 games at a time. That does not sound like somebody that really wants to play a whole bunch of games. They want to pay for their Madden. They want to pay for their Call of Duty, their 2K, or whatever else that they play. They might spring for a God of War. They might spring for a Elder Scrolls or something like that. They might cross over and spring for those games because they're extremely popular. But they are not itching to play a whole bunch of games on a subscription service. That's for you and me. But we only represent a smaller portion of gamers that are attracted to such a type of product. Think about it. For $15, $14.99, I can have access to online, everything that's in Xbox Live Gold, and this huge ass catalog of games that are in Game Pass. That's only $5 more than Xbox Live Gold. If the average gamer was like you and I, they would jump all over that. If the average Xbox gamer was like you and I, they would jump all over that. But Xbox Game Pass is probably at 30 million right now. Between Xbox One consoles and Xbox Series consoles, I would bet that there's anywhere between 60 to 70 million consoles out there, let alone the endless PCs that are out there that could, that could benefit from Xbox Game Pass. So, you don't even have half of the Xbox clientele, the Xbox console clientele on Game Pass. Don't let the media, don't let this media hype, don't let a lot of these content creators and these pundits stir you down the wrong path as they did to me years ago. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Xbox ain't one jack squat until they can catch up to PlayStation. And I think we're running on a tandem of 20 plus months, maybe 24 months with 1 month in between, where PlayStation has beat Xbox in NPD, that is money made, in its largest region, which is North America. So if Xbox is going to be successful and they're going to beat PlayStation, they got to beat them in North America. If they're not beating them in North America, they can forget it, because PlayStation got a stranglehold everywhere else. There might be some tight races here and there in some of the European countries or whatever. But in order for Xbox to have a chance to beat Sony, The race has to be close here, or Xbox has to be winning. And Xbox has not won that race in like the last 24 months between Sony, but 1 month, including now. I didn't bring that up to dog Xbox. I brought that up to enlighten you on how we can get misguided from the media. Xbox ain't won nothing yet. Despite the offerings of Game Pass, people don't mind. The average gamer don't mind paying $70 for their games. They don't listen to podcasts. They don't know who the hell an MM2K is. And they don't listen to any of this bibble babble. If they want it, they go and buy it. And they only want their few games a year. So Xbox still has work to do. It's going in the right trajectory, but it still has a lot of work to do. Don't fall for that okie doke. This is coming from someone who once did. Okay? So I want to put that out there, and this is the stuff that I'm talking about. We can be fans of Xbox, we can prefer Xbox, we can have disdain for PlayStation and that preference of Xbox. Whatever. I've been there. But you gotta hold their feet to the fire. You gotta hold their feet to the fire. Look, so that's the real deal, Holyfield. Again, I'll say this one more time for the people in the back. We don't know if this is just launch hiccups, and if within the next few days it'll get better, but that still don't erase the fact that they were talking about Xbox Series X server blades, Xbox Series X server blades, and what they're offering you is 1080p 60 that everybody else has been offered. I mean, that everybody else has been offered. Rather, I need to say it like that. They have been, so they're playing catch up. If you want to see, I'm telling you from someone with a lot of experience with Xbox, if you want to see Xbox really knock it out of the park, which I hope they do, if you really want to see Xbox knock it out of the park with the aspirations and hopes that you have, don't just assume they're going to do it. They're going to do whatever they feel they need to do to get your money and stop right there. Press them harder. Put those heavy expectations on them like you put on everybody else. It's made GFN better. It's making Amazon better. It's going to make Shadow better. It's definitely made PlayStation Now better. And with all the hate that they get, it's made Stadia better. And even when Stadia is doing right, they still get hit with hate. So Stadia is always on eggshells. Xbox has to go through the same thing. Technology is supposed to blow your mind. It's supposed to improve things. Hold Xbox accountable to those improvements like we do everybody else, okay? So that's my message. I've tried Xbox. I've tried it. And we got to be on the same page about that with everybody. I may disagree with so-and-so and this person and that one about what they say about Stadia or whatever, but regardless if I disagree with them or not, they still want to say what they're going to say and complain. So that criticism is going to be out there. Let's make sure it's thick and it's heavy for Xbox too. And I'm talking to the entire gaming community. Because I had a conversation behind the scenes. Like this was about to be a different podcast. Let me tell you. This podcast was about to be a debate with me and a well-recognized Xbox person because they didn't like what I was saying. And we talked it out, and we decided that we might do things differently. Something might be pending, so stay tuned. But we were about to break the internet today. We were about to break the internet. Me and somebody that y'all would have least expected was about to come on this platform and duke it out. We talked it out, and we both came to the conclusion that it might be best to hold off, look at some things, come back and reconvene and see how we want to do this. That's all I'm going to say. But even in my words to them, don't get mad at me. I am in an atmosphere where my preferred platform gets dogged out. Sometimes rightfully so. A lot of times, in my opinion, not rightfully so. But it's just the day. It's just the way that it is. Xbox needs to do better than this. Whether this is a temporary thing or not, they still need to know that the pressure is on them to do better. Not know, oh, well, it really wasn't a great experience, but they're in beta. Oh, well, that's not acceptable. Because in order for you to get access to xCloud, you got to pay for it. I had to pay for it. This ain't free. We had that talk. I think the person dug what I was saying and was like, you know what? Let me look a little bit more into what these other platforms can do, including Stadia. And yeah, let's reconvene. And all I can do is respect that. But I love cloud gaming so much. And because of what I've seen with Stadia, I've been testing cloud gaming since 2017. Started off with GFN, then was tinkering with my own thing, like I told y'all, remote desktop with Division and all that stuff. But I have such an affinity for cloud gaming in general because of what it's capable of. I'm not going to give roses to the worst element of it. Now, I'll be willing to debate with about GFN and all this other stuff, and I might throw a little snide comment in there here and there. But I got respect for those platforms. xCloud? With all that talk they was doing, they got to do better than this. They got to. They got to do better than this. And they're not doing better because they're getting all this accolades just for being associated to Game Pass. They're getting all this accolades. They're selling cloud gaming technology short just for being attached to a subscription service. That's a completely different thing. What worth is a subscription service if there's lag, the stream quality is grainy, and you're giving us a version of 1080p 60 that just ain't as good as everyone else? Let's throw Stadia out of there. Let me tell you about my experience with Xbox right now, or xCloud. Before I went live, I was supposed to go live a couple hours earlier, but I decided to play Ori, Ori, Gears 5, and was it Forza? Ori and Gears 5, and it was another game I played, right? I can't remember right now for some reason. And can I remember when Project Storm, shout out to him in the chat, when Project Storm, this is laugh out loud, when he was playing Ori and Gears 5, it looked fantastic when the A/B testing was going on. It looked good. It looked really good. Looked really smooth. And I played it, and I was like, this is hot garbage. I did say, I said, this is hot garbage. Again, with the thought process that it could get better the next few days, but for it to launch like this, After you're doing all that talk, you got a big old queue. Like, come on, better manage this. This is not what we were expecting off the Xbox Series X blades. Come on and communicate and acknowledge. Be transparent, right? The same thing that we expect from everybody else. I said, this is hot garbage. And I feel like, but I don't want to make that assumption too soon, because a few days from now it could be better. I feel like I wasted my money right now, but we'll see. We'll see. I could come back 2 or 3 days later and it's a lot better, but it isn't right now. And just like gamers in general, when they don't like something right now, they speak up right now. They definitely do it for Stadia. And when I or Clive or Linden or Storm say, or a Stadia rev say, well, hold on, show some patience. And y'all tell us to fly a kite into a thunderstorm, y'all keep complaining. So guess what? We're going to give xCloud the same treatment, because they're not doing anything more special than anybody else right now. So after I played those games, I went to go play Division 2. I ran into a problem with Chrome. Chrome, for some reason, would not allow me to play Division 2 beyond 1080p. I did a whole bunch of stuff, wasn't working. But then I got to look at my 1080p experience on Xbox and compare it to my 1080p experience on Stadia. And it's night and day. It was night and day. So let's hope that it gets better. But again, let's not sweep this out of the rug. This launch wasn't what we expected. We got to be honest. This launch was not what we expected. And speak up and say so. Whether you love Xbox every day, you bake an Xbox cake and you yum, 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 and you eat it all up every day. Say something. Because that's the only way this thing is going to improve and get up to snuff. If they can sit there and lag in the back and still get all these accolades, they're not going to improve the way that we want them to improve. Stop basing the accolades off of aspirations down the road. Don't do that with any of these platforms. I mean, we may talk, it's okay to talk about it, but I give Stadia its roses for what it's doing now. I can appreciate and respect people giving GFN its roses for what it's doing now. Amazon, same thing. Shadow, PlayStation Now for what it's capable of now. We may say the cherry on top may be this vaporware, but it's still vaporware. The bulk of what we're looking at got to be what the offerings are now. So, again, with the caveat, it could be better a few days from now. But what I would like to see, so all of cloud gaming is working to the best of their ability. All these platforms are. Nobody's rested on their laurels. That we hold xCloud to the same fire that we're holding everybody else to. I just get this feeling, and I know y'all agree with me in the chat, that xCloud is just giving a pass too much, where the criticisms aren't that heavy. When everybody says something about xCloud, well, it's in beta, but Game Pass, Game Pass is something completely different. We're talking about streaming. I'm not talking about a subscription service. I'm talking about streaming. If the stream ain't good, who gives a damn? For those that need xCloud in order to play the games, who gives a damn? We're cloud gamers. I thought we were looking out for fellow cloud gamers that can't have access to hardware. Right? Or am I wrong? Do I have that all wrong? Let me know. Let's go to the chat. How's xCloud performance? Poopity scoop. Jay Smith, Stadia launch was not the best, but they did everything possible to attempt to make people happy. I agree, even though they did a lot of silly stuff. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it ad nauseum. Jay, but you're absolutely right. Crazy stuff like we'll hand deliver Stadia Premiere. You know what I'm saying? Silly stuff, and they got ridiculed for it, rightfully so. But you know, it's lumps, and they all got to go through, and sometimes you got to have that pressure in order for you to perform better. And I just feel like that too often. xCloud people, when xCloud isn't doing something right, like you have people that will over exaggerate what xCloud could do, and then when they get proven wrong, they say, "Oh well, Game Pass." You know what I'm saying? They jump to a whole nother product and service. Oh, a Game Pass. That's something different. Whether you think Game Pass is great or not, it doesn't matter if the stream quality for a fellow cloud gamer is poopity scoop. Project Storm says the world's most powerful console are now in the blaze and you throttle the power. Storm, I think that, shout out to Clive Linden. I'm in agreement with Clive, and I'm gonna repeat the same thing that he said. I think what it is that, see, and this is why you got to give Stadia its flowers. You got to appreciate Stadia and all the other cloud platforms. You got to appreciate Amazon Luna for being able to do what it can do right now, even though there's a gap between it and Stadia's performance. But out of the gate, it performed a lot better than this. You know what I'm saying? Like when Amazon Luna launched, it performed a lot better than xCloud. And again, could be some server issues and they fix it in a few days. We'll see. But I'm not going to rest on my laurels and say, well, I won't suggest. I'm not going to say anything. I've said enough. I'm not going to rest on my laurels and just assume that it's going to get better. I'm hoping people will speak up and say, you know what? I love xCloud, the promise of xCloud, and I love Game Pass, but this launch was disappointing. Hopefully they do better. I hope y'all push that envelope so it reverberates back to Xbox and they're actually incentivized to do better because the pressure is on them. Just like the pressure is on everybody else. And with the pressure being on everybody else has gotten better. That being said, here's my thought, Storm. I'm going to be with Clive Linden. I think the problem is that, it's not just about the hardware. I was having this conversation with this entity that was about to come on the show. It's not just the hardware. But there's the balance of latency, there's the bandwidth adjustments, and then there's the codec that you're using. Your technology got to be in a spot where all that is in perfect synchrony. And that's why I say I'm not one that prescribes to it's going to be easy for these people to catch up to Stadia's tech. I don't prescribe to that because Stadia's not done working. They're going to continue to work too. So let's just say if in December Xbox does do a 1440p or 4K that's smooth, Stadia's going to move on to the next thing. The question for Xbox is going to be, is Xbox's 4K smooth enough? Will it be smooth enough for it to be differentiated from hardware where people can say, oh, this may not be native, but it feels pretty damn good? That's the question, because that's the Achilles heel for cloud gaming altogether. That's part of it. Number two is trusting that the games will remain. You know what I mean? But the first Achilles heel is, okay, I don't want to just be tinkering with something. I don't want to just play games on the cloud because it's possible. I want games in the cloud to be indistinguishable from hardware and for it to have benefits that I don't get with hardware. If I gotta sacrifice 2 months just to do this new technological thing, I don't want it. And that's why we can't overlook the importance of performance. Performance is key. If people feel like they're giving up too much to tinker with this new technological thing, they ain't gonna want to deal with it. Now, right now with Stadia, that too much for the average gamer may be the catalog. And that's understand. They got to work on the catalog. But for other platforms, that too much may be performance. There has to be a balance between both. And this is why you got to give Stadia its roses right now. For all intents and purposes, at least at the moment, it's not looking like it's that easy to do it. Xbox did all this talk about upgrading the server blades, and they're rolling out, catching up to what Stadia was doing in 2018. Think about that. You're talking about, this is 2021. Are you trying to tell me that Stadia doesn't have a head start? You're doing right now what Stadia was doing in 2018. I repeat, I don't think you guys are understanding this. You're doing right now what Stadia did in 2018. And Stadia doesn't have a considerable head start? That this whole process ain't a lot more complicated than what we think it is? Getting the 4K 60, getting a good balance of latency and performance and fidelity? This takes some work. So just off of that alone, I think Stadia deserves more praise than it's getting. It's took you 3 years with these Xbox Series X server blades to do what Stadia was doing 3 years ago. I repeat, with 12.7 teraflops and all this braggadocious chat, at launch of this, you're doing what Stadia did 3 years ago for free. I gotta pay $15. This is where Project Storm is upset. I gotta pay $15 for you to give me performance that Stadia was giving me 3 years ago for free. I repeat one last time. I gotta pay $15 for performance that Stadia in hell, in beta, GFN was giving me for free. Even though I had to buy the games for GFN, but still, I can access the service in a true beta for free. I'm sorry, Junior. Junior's like, man, if this cranky old dude don't shut the hell up. I know, Junior, I'm sorry. But do you see what I'm saying, Junior? Like, let me try to break it down more philosophically. You want me to pay $15 in 2021 for what Stadia and other platforms were giving me for free in 2018? I hope that was more, you know what I'm saying? I hope that was more exquisitely expressed. I just think about that. Maybe we should say that to ourselves 10 times. And maybe y'all will understand why I'm worked up about Microsoft, why Microsoft gets me so worked up. I'm just messing with you, Junior. No, it's all good. I know you just messing with me, brother. I know. Shout out to Junior Thanos, man. But think about that. This is why I'm so worked up. Y'all did all this talking. I hope, I'm gonna put it like this. I know I keep saying I'm gonna bounce, but I hope that this is just launch issues. I hope this is just launch issues. I hope that in the next few days, we start seeing performance. We know it's not going to be above 60 frames per second, but because Xbox said so themselves, that is capped at the 1080p 60. But I hope that we see better fidelity, we see better stream quality than we saw today. I hope. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm not saying xCloud is trash for life. I'm just saying as of today, it's poopity scoop. And Xbox is better than this. They are. Just for some reason, under Phil Spencer, who he's a smart guy, he's a technically advanced guy, he understands. For some reason, under Phil Spencer, the technological parts don't land well. They don't. The deals are great. Great deal maker. Him and the combo of him and Satya, they're great deal makers. Look for Xbox Game Pass to grow in its trajectory. But when it comes to the technology side of it, they're always falling short. And this is cloud gaming. Technology is key. You can't take your eyes off the prize and give them their roses simply off the deal making. The technology has to be on point. In the moment that you get us all together, Xbox Series X server blades are now upon us. Gather around. And we go and we pick up our joysticks and we start clickety-clack. We start clickety-clacking, and when we clickety-clack, we realize that at least at this moment, we're paying $15 a month for output that we got for free in 2018. Not just from Stadia, but from other platforms. We have to speak up. You got to do this with Xbox. Maybe they are going to fix it, but let's not assume. Let me go to a couple more y'all in the chat before we move on to this other news. What's up, y'all? Shout out to Big Bulls for Life. Bippity Bop says, yeah, GFN latency is a little too high for me. And when it comes to Destiny 2, it looks good, but Destiny 2 latency with PlayStation 4 controllers higher than Stadia with the PlayStation 4 controller. That's interesting. Here's the thing, Bippity. Now, I had a different experience. See, I don't just dog GFN. My experience with GFN, I don't want to say natively, but I played via the client on my PC, and I did use a wired Xbox controller. And I gotta say that on the 1080p side, it was a better experience than Stadia 1080p. This was several months ago though. I'm gonna say about on the 1080p side, it was a better experience on GFN than it was for Stadia for me on the 1080p side. Why? Well, really, to be fair, I'm lying. I maxed out that bit rate to 55. I maxed the bit rate out to 55, and I changed the resolution to 1200p. So you can change GFN to 1200p. So when I was playing it at 1200p versus Stadia's 1080p, of course, with the ray tracing and all the PC settings, I was able to tweak it, and I was able to get it to perform better at 1200p, all the settings versus Stadia. So GFN, you know what I'm saying? In my experience, little sprinkles here and there. You know what I'm saying? You can get some great performance. Now, 4K is a different story. 4K is different. But, again, these are platforms, Bippity, that we can give different experiences to that are acceptable. But for you, it was too much latency. For me, it was good. You know what I'm saying? We got stories like that. Right now for xCloud, ain't no stories like that. Not today. Not today. That's unacceptable. Yeah, Chris, that's embarrassing. Sorry, Microsoft. Yeah, it is. It's embarrassing to do all this talk and this is the end result. It is embarrassing. Bibbity says, I'll save my $1 for when it's actually working. Let's get a couple more in here. Ambernoy said, xCloud is a beta. Why would you criticize the same we do with Stadia? Here's why I don't buy the beta thing. I don't. GFN was a beta. Stadia was a beta. The rest of these were early accesses. The moment that you're asked to pay, you know what I'm saying? Like, the moment that you're asked to pay and you got to make retail type transactions in order to utilize the service, it's early access. It's not a beta. The word beta is being misused. Stadia gave you a game for free, gave it to you for X amount of months, rigorously asked you questions to enhance the product ASAP. GFN was in beta for several years. They even gave you some games for free, but if you had other games in your platform that you bought off of Steam, you could connect those, again, for them to increase their services, regularly. That's not what we're seeing from Amazon, from Xbox, from what we saw from Shadow. That was early access. Everything that we promised you isn't ready yet, but we're still working on it. That's early access. All right. So, of course, this should be criticized. They're asking for money. Anytime that they ask you for money, it's worthy of criticism. Just like Stadia, just like GFN. They're all worthy of criticism, really. You can criticize them and say, hey, look, if you want to get in this arena, you got to do better than this. But once you start taking people's money, yeah. And it's not a beta. They're trying to hide behind the beta tag. And I give kudos to Stadia for being bold. And Storm has said this before, and I'm taking this from Storm. Stadia said, you know what? No, we're not going to hide behind the beta tag. We're going to say that we're a full retail launch, even though we could get away with early access. We could say that we're early access, but no, we feel like we got a product that's good enough and it's just going through phases. Like, for instance, my PlayStation 5. My PlayStation 5 has this limited amount of NVMe space. And it comes with an additional NVMe port that ain't active yet. And there's some other features that are not active yet. But they just went with a full retail launch and said, hey, those things are coming. And we don't have a date when it's coming yet. Xbox sold you on them being the most powerful console, but the games, every time Digital Foundry looks at a game, if it's an old game, Xbox wins. If it's a new game, PlayStation wins. People buy new consoles for new games as far as I understand it. So is Xbox Series X, is that a beta? Are they you know what I'm saying? Like, are they void of being criticized? No. I don't care what name that you put out there as a marketing ploy. That's all it is. The moment you ask for money, you get criticized. And you should get criticized staunchly when you don't perform up to standard. People didn't feel like Stadia performed up to standard at launch. They had their issues with it. They made them be known. They did so vigorously. They're still doing so to this day, which is overkill as far as I'm concerned, but they've done it. We need to see more of that happening for Xbox because it has happened. It's way overkill for Stadia, but it's happened with other platforms. People got on GFN for them losing games. People got on Amazon for various stuff. For a lot of people feel like they're hanging behind the beta tag and other things. People got on Shadow for their price, their price options and them saying that they're going to lower prices, but then that never materialized the way that they promised, and then now they went into bankruptcy and came out, and now it's $30. They've all gotten their fair share of criticisms consistently across the board. For some reason, Xbox, and I'm not saying everybody's doing it, but I don't feel like I see enough of people that are high strung on Xbox, whether it's cloud gaming or general gaming doing that. And that's the conversation that I had with this well-known, recognized Xbox person. Now, Aminor's hating ass comment will be the final comment for that segment. Just real quick before we hit the 2-hour mark. I want to do this real quick. Hold on. This is the Avatar game reference. Now, this is PlayStation Lifestyle.net, but there's some interesting stuff in here. Ubisoft explains why Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is only releasing on new consoles. Now, we know that's not true. It's releasing on new consoles and Stadia. And I think, is it coming to GFN as well? I think it's coming to another cloud platform as well. But in the story, they say creative director Magnus Jansen and technical director of programming Nikolay Stefanov have told IGN that the upcoming title is skipping last-gen platforms. I think that's a better way to describe it, because of quite a few game key features that would struggle on older hardware. For instance, players will be flying over extensively detailed vistas at enormous high speeds, which require the power of newer hard drives and the cloud, presumably. Additionally, new consoles won't limit the game's map design, and presumably new and cloud hardware, Stadia's cloud hardware, wherever else is coming, won't do it as well. It's not just the old I'm taking, this slow walk as I enter into place because we have to stream everything in, Jansen told IGM. It's little subtle things that people don't think about, which is how close together all the places in the world. If you look at the old hard drives, they have to be spaced out very far apart, and because you had to stream out the old and the stream in the new, so it just created a formulaic world. So, with that being said, I think this is a lot about Stadia. A lot of people, there's an argument, a debate that goes up: is Stadia next gen, is it prior gen or whatever? I think we don't want to limit it to dedicated device specifications. It's hard to do that. We gotta really it's I don't have a full answer to this yet, but I think when we limit it to dedicated device specifications, we kind of limit what it's all about. Like, these are just server blades, and I know we use consoles as a basis of next gen and last gen and all that other stuff, but like, you got to think about it kind of similar as you think of PCs. Like, it's all dependent upon the hardware, and if it wasn't for consoles, like, we wouldn't be talking this 7th gen, 8th gen, and all this other stuff, right? Or maybe we still would. But I don't call Stadia, I don't think of it as any of those gens. I did for a while. I used to think of it like a 8.5 gen. I can't remember what I said, but I think that's doing it. It may be other cloud services a disservice. It's powerful enough to play 9th generation software because of the power of the cloud. That puts it in a special class, and I think that's all we need to be concerned with. That the dedicated hardware out there that is playing these more graphically demanding games, Stadia is going to be able to play them too. The question is going to be how well. So that's a great thing there. Last but certainly not least, shout out to the homie Jim Beer Gaming. He put out a tweet earlier today. Stadia version of Riders Republic is the next gen version. Next gen equals 50 plus players. Previous gen equals 20 plus players. He pulled out an excerpt from the Stadia version where it specifically says grab your bike, ski, snowboard, wingsuit, and explore on open world paradise where to battle against over 50 players simultaneously in a multiplayer playground. So that speaks volumes right there. He says, in addition, this seems like the max player cap is 64. I don't know why Ubisoft just don't say 64 players. That's a great point. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the homie John Scar. He says, true, but even the Ubisoft press release refers to it as next gen. Gem is just keeping with the flow. Oh, okay. He was responding to Stefan. All right. So, shout out to John Scar and shout out to Stefan as well. So yeah, great stuff. It just shows you that these young platforms are still in the early phases, but as they continue to build and they work hard, they're going to be able to do things that we don't see elsewhere. And it says a lot that this game is coming to Stadia. You know what I'm saying? That this game is going to be ready. It's already called to be coming to Stadia. Let's hope, going back to the prior segment, let's hope that we put enough pressure, we speak to it more often than not about xCloud, that they too can get this game. I know they got a division that's working on this and that, but again, and that's great. That's a great step forward. But let's start seeing these tangibles in our hands. Okay? So that's that. I got a last tweet here. Oh no, that was my tweet about that. So, all right, with that said, let's go to the chat. Let's see what the chat has to say about all this. We got Sneaky Ray Sherrod in the house. He says, Storm, you might be on to something. What Storm say? He said, that logic at Christopher Torres, you know what I think. It's beta until we catch up to Stadia still. Yeah. Yep. Unitrex in the house. Airborne of the TF73. MLB The Show. Enough said. 2021. I don't know what that means, but okay. Hold on, let me see. Project Storm GFN, hold on. He says, yo, Bippity Bop, they did as a counter move to Stadia's recent moves. They were just sloppy about it, though. Okay. All right, y'all really chatting it up here. Shout out to Project Storm. He says, where are the people who disagree? Somebody has to hold Stadia Dosage dudes accountable. This should be illegal in 52 states. What portion are you talking about, Storm? What was I talking about when you put that out there? Kessel runner in the house. Good to see you, Kessel. I also have to imagine Xbox will use the Orient technology to improve performance in the cloud, unless they're already implementing it, but I don't know. That's a great shout out, Kessel. A great shout out. Now, I had originally believed that Xbox or Microsoft would lease this out because this software was made to work with Stadia as well. And I don't know if that contract got destroyed with the buyout. But my question is, see, that's has to be something that's put in at the engine level, or the Orion code has to be put in at the engine level. So someone has to program that in there. So it's not something that's just sitting in Xbox or sitting in xCloud and a game automatically runs at at 200 frames per second, all other stuff. When people are building the game and they're building it for xCloud or they're building it for a cloud platform that Orion is going to work on, that has to be coded into it. Now, knowing how Xbox is with things like Havoc, may they lease out that software, that technology? Maybe so. Maybe they won't. We'll see. We'll see what it does as far as performance and latency is concerned for xCloud's technology. But I know when Bethesda was working on it before the buyout, they were building it for the ground up to work with xCloud and Stadia. So it'll be interesting to see, but that's a great shout out, Kessel. Something that we definitely got to look out for. Great shout. Jay Smith says, launch. xCloud is a paid beta service. Kessel also says, just goes to show Stadia got the super duper Michael Jordan secret stuff working under the hood that these other companies don't got. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that xCloud, I'm not saying that GFN, Amazon, I'm not saying that they're not going to get where Stadia is at right now. But understand that by the time they get there, Stadia might be on the next thing. And the name to the game is going to be who has the greatest well, I'm gonna put it like this. There's room for all these cloud platforms. So let me stop talking like you got only buy one. You're talking about platforms that omit the necessity, when they get that sweet spot right, they omit the necessity of you having to stay in the lines, pay $500 for a console. You basically, it's gonna be like Hulu and Netflix. Like, how many of y'all, do me a favor, how many of y'all got more than one streaming service? I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Put a 1 if you got more than one streaming service. Put it in the chat. I'm gonna start it off. If you got more than one streaming service, set it off. Like, so it's not gonna be, I saw and I think Jonathan DeVille is in here. I think it was him. Shout out to you, brother, that did this on Twitter. He said, this is unbelievable. And I think he showed his iPad. And he had Amazon, I think he had, xCloud, Stadia, and GFN logos all there. That's it. It's as simple as that. They all have different gaming lanes, right? So with Xbox, they're basing their cloud service off of what's in Game Pass. They might get a la carte purchases right now, but again, Vaporware, they're basing it off of what's in Game Pass. Stadia lets you do a la carte purchases. They let you do subscription service with Ubisoft Plus. They let you do PS Plus, Xbox Live Gold things. So they're offering you a variety of different things. So there might be a game that you might even prefer Game Pass, but there might be a game that's available on Stadia that you will go to Stadia for. Guess what? They're still getting your money. Just like I prefer Hulu over Netflix because I have Hulu Plus. I prefer Hulu over Netflix. But Netflix is still getting my money. Disney Plus is still getting my money. I watch more Netflix than I do Disney Plus. But Disney Plus is still getting my money. Whether I just watch one show or not, they still getting my money. You see what I'm saying? So there doesn't just have to be just one. That's the beauty of it. The question is, who's going to be the top 2 or 3? I think that's the real question. The top 2 or 3. If you ask me, I think it's Google and Amazon. We really got to see Google and Amazon. It might be Microsoft, and 3 is up for grabs as far as I'm concerned. Xbox got the games, but they got to get the performance up. It's up for grabs. GFN got the games, but they got to get the performance up too. Shadow got the performance, but they got to get up to speed. They got to get up to speed and not price themselves out. Amazon got to perform. They're getting there with the performance. They ain't got the games yet, but the games will be easy. I already said Amazon now. And then PlayStation now, they got a lot of games. They got good performance from what I'm hearing, but they got to get better quality games. They got to get better quality games. The moment that the moment that PlayStation now puts their games in day and date, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. They automatically, it's a wrap. So, but great stuff, y'all. Great stuff. Stadia Rev still going. Yes, sir. I'm about to wrap this up, though. All right. With that said, I want to thank y'all so much for coming out. Again, sorry to be so doom and gloom-ish on the Xbox performance, and I don't want to say doom and gloom ain't the right word. I'm just dehydrated because it's hot as hell. Doom and gloom ain't the right word, but sorry to be so jagged on Xbox. But I feel like that this moment where people started seeing this massive disappointment could have been avoided. Xbox was riding high off of the accolades that they get from the media who was giving them a pass. Media that was lying and saying that they got the best cloud platform out there. And Xbox, just because they're Xbox and they have Game Pass, not really earning their stripes. That's what I want to say. I think that's the best way to describe it. Xbox, because they're Xbox and they have Game Pass that people adore, them not really earning their stripes on the cloud front. They haven't earned their stripes. GFN has earned their stripes. Amazon has earned their stripes. I'm going to say PlayStation Now has earned their stripes. Stadia has earned their stripes. Shadow has earned their stripes. xCloud gets too much pass. And it has to stop. They got to earn their stripes in this cloud stuff. They can't just write off a Game Pass. They got to get it right in the cloud, and they're not. Every time we turn around, they getting all these kudos for playing catch up. It doesn't matter what's in Game Pass. If the stream quality, if people feel like there's too much to sacrifice, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna care right now. If this performance stays the same, it's gonna be like how it was several months ago. You might see a random xCloud tweet here and there, and it ain't nothing but a still picture, no footage. You know what I'm saying? So xCloud has to earn its stripes. It's not earning its stripes right now. It's getting too much of a pass. And I want to show y'all one more time on the screen. This is not me just hating on Xbox. I'm going off my own personal experience. This is November 2019 that I sent this tweet. At this point in time, I want to say about a good year, I was extensively trying out these cloud platforms. You know, primarily GFN, and I think Shadow was out for, yeah. It started off with GFN, then Shadow, then xCloud when that came out. PlayStation 4 Remote Play, and then Google Stadia when I finally got that. I think I got that on the 23rd of November, around that time. But even back then, this NDA platform number 1 is GFN. NDA platform number 2 is Shadow. Since I've had access to all these platforms, and I was basing Google Stadia off of Project Stream. I didn't have Google Stadia at that point in time. But based off of all my experience with these platforms, Project xCloud has remained towards the bottom. They can do better than this, all right? And let's us do better in holding their feet to the fire and making sure they don't get stripes for something else. If you want to give them stripes for their game subscription service, great. But this is technology that we're talking about. They should be technologically up there with all the talking that they're doing. They should be technologically up there with the rest of these platforms, and they're not. The way that they're talking, they should be up there with Stadia, if not surpassing it, technology-wise, and they're not. I'll settle for second or third place, and they're not. You know what I'm saying? And they're not. Hopefully this is just launch hiccups. Hopefully it gets better. But let's not rest on our laurels and just assume, again, because we like Game Pass, it's going to get better. Let's hold their feet to the fire. Just because you like the 800 plus games in GFN, that doesn't mean that you didn't hold their feet to the fire. Just because you like Stadia's performance didn't mean that you didn't hold their feet to the fire. Just because you like that God of War was available at some point in time on PlayStation Now didn't mean that you didn't hold their feet to the fire. Just because you liked the fact that you got like a PC and a whole PC in the sky for Shadow doesn't mean that you didn't hold their feet to the fire. Just because you liked the fact that Amazon had 4K capabilities that in its settings doesn't mean that you didn't hold their feet to the fire. Let's not do the same thing with xCloud. xCloud has to earn its stripes. Period. All right. So with that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Love y'all. Tomorrow's my birthday, y'all. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I can't guarantee that there'll be a video. And then we still taking care of the wife, so we'll see. But just in case there wasn't a video or anything, I wanted to come out here and say what's up to y'all. And thank y'all so much for y'all support. You know what I'm saying? It means so much to me. Thank y'all so much for y'all patience. You know, hopefully, you know, the recovery time for my wife is taking a lot longer. This was supposed to be a 1 or 2 week thing, and it's a lot longer. So I want to thank you all so much. Also, don't forget the Summer Community Championships. Sign up and get ready for that. Shout out to Eddie Player One in the house. Get ready for that. Oh, dang. Look at that. His pick is distorted. We got to fix that. But shout out to Eddie Player One in the house. Get ready for the Summer Community Championships hosted by Jack Deslett. I'm honored to be on the committee, but it's all about bringing us together for some great Stadia gaming, and you have a potential of winning up to $1,400. Don't miss that. Go to @TheSummerCC on Twitter for more information. With that said, shout out to everybody. Thank y'all so much. I know pro games are announced tomorrow, Bippity. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a video on it. But thank y'all for the birthday shout outs. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Yamamados. Peace out. Till next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.